The Agri-Food Regulator has been asked to promote fairness and transparency along the supply chain. And there's two main ways in which it will do that, or it is doing that. One is in terms of enforcing unfair trading law, and we are on the ground in terms of inspections, etc. And the other side is about trying to improve transparency along the supply chain. And we have published a number of interactive reports in order to start that journey.
And the Agri-Food Regulator is nearly 2 years in operation. What has it achieved?
It has achieved lots to date. I suppose we set off in late 2023 into early 2024 on a significant stakeholder engagement programme. We've completed that, so we had a very significant opportunity to talk to businesses all along the supply chain, which has been very valuable. And obviously we're continuing with that engagement programme. So that has led us into work, for example, in terms of the unfair trading practices side. There is a legislative framework around how we monitor compliance with unfair trading law, and that is to do with compliance reporting buyers, for example. So these are larger buyers in our supply chain that are required to send in reports to the Agri-Food Regulator, annual compliance report, on how they actually comply with the legislation in place. The first reports were received earlier this year, which contain very, very useful information for us in terms of understanding how the supply chain works, but also in terms of feeding into our risk, I suppose, mechanism or framework internally about informing how we will carry out our inspections. On the price and market data analysis side then, we started with essentially a blank sheet, if you like, in terms of, okay, how do we consider transparency, or what is transparency, and how do we work to that? So to date, as you would be aware, we have asked certain businesses in both the egg and the horticulture sector to supplement reports that we were using in terms of publicly available information. And that has led to a recommendation to the Minister for increased powers.
And when we talk about supply chain, we obviously think about farmers as the primary supplier. So do you believe that farmers receive a fair price for their produce in Ireland?
Well, what the Agri-Food Regulator is asked to do is look at the value, I suppose, along the supply chain. So for the regulator, that supply chain at a very simple level obviously includes primary producers, processors and retailers, if you want to break it down in that simply, if you like. Obviously, in an Irish context, we export a lot of our food as well, so we have to be concerned with world markets as well. But what we're trying to do through our transparency reports is to show that value along the supply chain. So it's not the regulator's job to set prices or talk about prices per se, but it is essentially our job to look at how that value is distributed along the supply chain.
And when we talk about the agri-food supply chain, obviously we have farmers on one side, but we also have supermarkets on the other. And when supermarkets reduce the price of, let's say, for example, milk, it is without a doubt a boost for consumers, but it may not directly help dairy farmers, and in particular liquid milk suppliers. So what more can the Agri-Food Regulator's Office do to promote fairness in this context?
Well, I suppose what we're trying to do is ensure that there's no unfair trading practices. So these are, as you know, 16 specific practices that have come from an EU directive. So, for example, farmers getting paid on time, etc. So that's very important. And also we have an interactive report on the dairy sector at the moment, and it's available on the website. I think a very important response in terms of your question is that this is a partnership approach. The regulator by itself cannot improve transparency and fairness. This is about first, smaller businesses and suppliers coming to us with any issues that they're having, particularly on the unfair trading practices side, and letting us know. So we do have obviously people on the ground, and we're looking at inspections, but it is very important to me particularly that people are coming forward and that they're trusting the regulator to, pick up the phone and say, look, I'm having this issue.
When we talk to farmers, they are extremely frustrated about the supplier-purchaser balance, particularly supermarket relationships. Can the Agri-Food Regulator ensure this relationship is more balanced?
Well, we're certainly, as I said earlier, all of the businesses along the supply chain are stakeholders of the regulator. And I've always been very strong about the message that, each of the phases or stages in the supply chain are necessary. So, the regulator, there is an opportunity for all of the businesses now along the supply chain, I suppose, to come together, if you like, or to use the Agri-Food Regulator as an independent vehicle to improve the fairness and transparency. And I think that is hugely important. And, it's really a call to action, I suppose, from the regulator.